Nothing worth stealing. Of course they have. Your type of business is not a target. Yes, it is. There's no discrimination out there. You are a potential target, whatever you're doing. You don't handle money, and you outsource stuff, IT payments, etc. And you're still responsible for whatever's lost, not who you've outsourced it to. It's your responsibility. And everyone thinks somebody else will pay. In my case, I got all my money back because it was verified as a fraudulent transaction, not by me, but by somebody else. So I was fine. But if you click on a link and they investigate, you're responsible, you won't get your money back. So be careful what you do. In the UK, we've got a big stick about to come in. GDPR will be a changer. Every company doing business in the EU who stores data must be compliant. And if not, you'll get those fines coming. So if you're based in the UK, or the EU, or you're doing business in India with EU clients, you are storing personal data and you will still need to be compliant. It's very complicated. Some of the issues with it, you need to be aware of what you need to do, you need to be aware of every bit of data you've got, what you're storing, how you're storing it, and provide on a regular basis a full audit trail. Everyone's got their own rights. You've got the right to remain invisible. If you're working for a business or you're a client or a customer and you move on, you should be totally wiped off. No data must be held about you as an individual. There must be consent, issues with children, and you must have breach procedures in place. If you have a data breach and you've been compliant with GDPR, you may not be fined because you've been seen to be compliant, but you've had a zero-day attack, or you've had an insider threat, and it's not your responsibility, and you've reported it in the adequate time, you will probably not be fined. Time will tell. So what can you do? Make sure you've got policies in place regarding security in your businesses and enforce them. Look at them on a regular basis. Get somebody in to do a cyber hygiene check to make sure that you are compliant and you're doing what you need to do. Keep away, doing the awareness training and validate that training. Keep testing people. Make sure they do it. Do exercises, desktop exercises, which we do desktop exercises, and they work exceedingly well because you're trying out all those procedures with no damage. Enforce your door policy. Make sure that people are allowed in only where they need to go. Ask for ID at the door. It's all relevant to this. Leavers, HR, this is a big issue, as I mentioned about passwords. Once they leave, make sure they've gone physically, you've booted them out the door, for whatever reason they've left, and you've terminated all their credentials for your business. Always update and patch immediately. How many Apple users have we got in here? Quite a few. Did you update yesterday? You need to. Big update yesterday. It changes the look and feel of your iPhone, and I don't like it, but it's 9 potential day flaws on the old operating system. Who uses Windows 10? We discussed this morning. It's got a keylogger on it. So if you use Windows 10, whatever browser you're using, Microsoft are collecting that data to enhance your user experience. That's wrong. I'm sure some of you go to places where you might not want to go, but Microsoft will know. They don't tell you that, and we've challenged them. You can turn it off on the settings, so you can revert to that, but when you upgrade or you do a patch on Windows, you need to do those settings again. Interesting. We've talked a little bit about GDPR. I think those that need to know about that will be well aware of what's coming. And if you need to know any more, please do connect with me on LinkedIn. Be careful with LinkedIn. It's good for the right reasons, but it can also be used and abused. There's a lot going on at the moment. There's a lot of accounts trying to connect with people, and they're not valid. Follow me at GGM Cyber on Twitter, and you'll get all that news on a regular basis. Okay.
Back to this hack, this Equifax hack. I mentioned earlier, they may have compromised the information of 143 million Americans, which is a lot of Americans. So in light of this, as a service to the public, we've actually done this before and it's very effective. We asked people who were passing by our theater today what password they use to protect their personal information. And pay attention, please, because there are a lot of important tips to be shared here.
We are talking to people about the cybersecurity breach in Equifax, and in light of that, we're asking people how secure their internet passwords are. What do you use for an internet password?
You know, I usually stick to my last name. That's probably not the best thing to do, but I usually stick to my last name, a few digits, maybe like a hashtag or something, or...
How do you spell your last name?
Walker.
Walker?
Yeah.
W-A-L-K-E-R?
Yeah.
And then just the 3 numbers?
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have told you
And then
that.
the hashtag.
Yeah.
The numbers, like, what do you use, like your birthday or something, your area code?
Yeah, usually like, my birthday,
How old are you?
21.
What day you born?
November. No, the day, sorry, the 29th.
29th of November?
Yeah.
So Walker, 11/29/95.
Woo! I probably shouldn't say that, but
That's okay.
yeah.
How strong is your internet password?
Strong.
What sort of things do you use?
Capital letters, lowercase letters, numbers, characters, everything.
What's a current password you're using?
I don't really want to tell the current password that I'm using, to be honest.
You think I'm a hacker?
Not necessarily. Well, I mean, I guess, you know, like 63XJ9 hat symbol, at symbol, basically. All characters, pretty random assortment, and I just try to
Can you use
memorize.
that one?
Yes.
Thank you. What is your internet password that you use for your email?
In and Out 2017.
That's easy.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
My internet password is capital W @TER capital B 0NG water bomb.
Yeah.
My internet password is okay.
Yeah.
Mila what's MILR64.
Well, that's nice. Now Americans can hack into a Russian website. That'll be fun. Oh, so what is your name?
Jerry Reed.
I think we've seen enough. That's how stupid people are, and we all do it. That tour would normally last about an hour. We've tried to run it in as quickly as we could. Anyone got any questions or concerns? You should be very concerned. At the end of the day, you are all responsible if you're holding data. You're responsible for all your IT and security. And remember, it's not just computers, it's everything from the cleaner to the CEO and everything in between. It's the converged thing.
Graeme, you've scared everybody, but at least tell us the solution.
There are no solutions. Best practice is being compliant with GDPR. One of the things I'm doing with one of the companies I'm with is providing and supporting SMEs with a service on a subscription basis, which means that you don't need to hire a CISO for 150 grand a year in London. If you're a 20, 30 man company, for £1,000 a month, you get everything, including SOC, 24-hour surveillance. If you get the 0 day, we'll come and fix you, pump your tyres up like the AA do. And if you break down, you're insured. And we do all the reparation. And that is the markets at risk. London is a nightmare. I'm on the London Chamber of Commerce Cyber Working Group, and we issued a report about 18 months ago. London's in denial. No one is reporting cyber. That's why all the stats out there are incorrect, because we don't really know. Hopefully GDPR will solve that, and we can prepare a bucket of information that we can advise business better.
Graeme, can I have a last question?
Yep.
How often do you recommend to change the password? Because all the time they said keep on changing password, but then it's very, very difficult to remember, and then we forget. It's like sorry.
I'll be blunt, passwords are a pain in the arse. I hate them. A lot of products out there at the moment, Avast is one. They provide you with a password protection box, in theory. They'll sandbox all your passwords, and they'll know where they need to be filled in on whatever website or whatever you're doing, without actually being visible. They work quite well, but there are flaws with that system. The safest solution is something I'm looking at the moment, where instead of a password, it's something that you remember. So if you're, I don't know, a football fan, and you're a Chelsea supporter, and you think of 12 people or positions or nice things you like about Chelsea, when you log in, it will ask you who's centre forward, what's the name of the bar that you visit on a Saturday, and 4 other questions. Only you will know that, so it gets rid of the password conundrum straight away. I'm guilty, like a lot of people, on a lot of sites I've got the same password, but they are websites where it doesn't matter. They might be football forums or nothing to do or related to business. All my business ones are all different, and it's a pain. The sooner they get rid of it, the better.
Do you think any new invention makes...
The one I just talked about is something coming along, and hopefully we might be able to launch that soon. How stupid people are. I talked to the Chartered Insurance Institute, and I was down in St Mary's football ground in Southampton. And I did a talk for about an hour and a half, and we talked about all the issues. 2 girls came up to me, and she said, "We're quite worried about your bit on insider threats." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Well, in our office, and this is the second biggest insurance company in the UK, we've got a book, and in that book is everyone's username and password." And I'd nearly fainted. I said, "Why?" "Well, if I'm away, she can finish that deal off and clinch the insurance deal." Whoa, what about the cleaner walking through every email? That's interesting. They rang me up 2 weeks later and said they got rid of the book. And I said, "What are you doing now? Put it on sticky notes under the keyboard." It is difficult. It's difficult. Another instance, which was quite worrying, talking about insider threats and desktop exercising, we did an exercise with Sun Life of Canada last year. We managed to get the board for 2 hours, which is very rare to do that with any business. So we had all of the board in there, and we developed this scenario based around an insider threat. The door knocked, someone knocked at the door, and it was the PA to the CEO. She was looking quite traumatised. She said basically she didn't know it was an exercise. She thought it was a meeting. And she said to the CEO, "I've just had a phone call, and somebody's just about to put 500,000 clients' data on the deep web, and they've asked for 10 bitcoins." And that was it. That was the start of looking what that company did to react to that scenario, and it was fascinating. They outsourced all their IT. Fortunately, it was downstairs. Immediately, they sent somebody down to make sure that wasn't the area where there was a hack. They set up a community centre for clients. They did all the right things. At the end of it, the reason it all happened was somebody was so busy, they took home some work, put it into Excel, left it, some came along and found all this data. Wow, this is worth a lot of money. He was a druggie, he went and sold it. Happens all the time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.